storm's coming. And not one of this earth, but one of my own making.
Claire, some bad news. It's Jamie.
They did, yeah. And I think for us, Lallybroch, the castle Midhope, has been a huge part of I guess, our journey on Outlander. It's where we started the first seasons, and also, I guess, for Jamie as well, and Claire, it's his ancestral home. We've had many moments, particularly in the Laird's chamber, and going back there, even for Jamie and Claire, they talk about it, how it's the first time he said "I love you," or the first time that they spend time together, and then also the characters as well. To see Jenny again, to see old Ian is bittersweet.
I think every time we go back to Lallybroch, we want to touch certain bases and bring the fans with us, and we definitely leaned into that part of the story in bringing back all the characters that we could, and touched and seeing as much as because we had to rebuild the entire set, so as much as we could, in the sense of the parlor and the bedrooms and the relationships, and bringing the fans back to season 1 and 2.
Yeah, but even in the episode, I think they reference coming back, and the last time they were there, there were some significant moments that happened. So, I mean, I think it purposely did evoke certain memories and certain feelings. And, Lallybroch, I think we even talked about, it's like, you can't go home again. There's certain things that, memories you have there the last time you were there, and things have changed.
Well, yeah, Midhope is always there. So Midhope Castle plays Lallybroch, and we've gone out there, multiple times throughout the seasons. But when we put up the interior, because we don't use the interior of Midhope, you walk through it every time you put up an old set, and you go back and you walk the halls again. It's like going back to, I guess, as a and this is very reminiscent of these couple episodes where you go back to your old high school or something, and you have a class reunion, and you're walking the halls again. It feels like that, and then you see students you went to school with. Well, that's Lotte and Graham and Nell, and so everybody was kind of back for a school reunion.
It gets very nostalgic. I mean, anytime you build something that takes you back to the first season, I think, though, for me, it just felt like it hasn't been that long, even though it's been, how many years it's been, but it feels like, it was just last week in some ways, though. I mean, everything we do is so familiar that I think it's just seeing it up again took me back a few seasons, but I feel like Lallybroch is always kind of there. So I think anytime we get to go back to Scotland, it's always fun because that's where we started.
The fact that things don't change that much in this era, so I think the one big change is Ian. So I think, you don't want to, build a new guest room on Lallybroch when you have Ian coming in his Mohawk, motif. So, you want that to be the central focus. And I think everybody notices that almost immediately upon his arrival.
So I felt not only as Ian as a character has developed, but the last time was like 8 years ago that I was kind of walking through that arch again. So it wasn't to say it was like weird. It felt just like a kind of homecoming. And for Ian, he's arriving in Lallybroch after going through so many trials and tribulations, and really is celebrating, I think, a little bit of his survival there. Now, as that is tinged with anxiety, of course, he's arriving home a very different person, scars and tattoos to prove it. But I think the thing about Lallybroch is that it's always been a part of the Outlander universe that is full of love and safety. And so him arriving home, I think those anxieties quickly melt away when he sees his parents again. And I think that love that he then experiences and forgiveness and understanding are going to serve him very well when he rushes back over the Atlantic Ocean to chase the love of his life.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, I think to return to special sets and to sort of have those memories of the previous scenes is always special, and it really informs how you play the scenes that you're being given at this point. It's sweet and it's romantic.
Yeah, I remember as well, even downstairs, when Steve and I were doing scenes together, but we were remembering, way back in season 1, acting scenes there with Metin, actually.
Yeah.
We worked with a lot with one of the directors, but yeah, just there's so many memories, and I think that's what's the joy of playing on a show for perhaps this long, is that you have these memories tied up in shooting, and that also informs some of the character and situations.
It is like coming home a little bit, like you said, Graham, earlier. It putting on those costumes that we wore all those years ago. It just brings back the character. Really, honestly, if you put on the costume and if you,
it does.
Yeah, just walking around in those beautiful, beautiful sets. I mean, my God, it's just they're such art pieces, all of them. So that all of that really helps. But yeah, it's coming home in a way.
It was very strange when I first put on the costume again. There was quite a rush of emotion about it, really, because so much happened to me wearing that costume, and so much it set in motion so many things that have happened since in my life, really, I guess. And at the time when we first worked on Outlander, we had no idea that it would be the success, really, that it's become. So. Yeah,
that's the thing and the show has a life that, sort of unfolded in those apparently 10 years. I didn't realize. But we've all grown as people, too. So as people, we've gone through our respective lives in those 10 years. Yeah. And this has traveled with us. So it's very special.
An unimaginable privilege, because what a family. I watched and rewatched all the episodes that I could before arriving on set, and so it meant that I think I already felt like I was part of the family. Like meeting John Bell didn't feel like meeting John Bell. I was like, I know you, hey son, and everyone behaved like that to me. Everyone just helped me hit the ground running. Sam and Kat gave me their phone numbers the first second I saw them and said, any questions you've got, ask. I just felt like. Sorry?
I don't remember being that friendly at all. Everyone came here like,
Hey, I read your palm in the Easy Up. I know more about you than anybody.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
I mean, to be honest, I think the absence of her husband is a byproduct of the bigger problem right now, which is obviously her missing child. And so I think that is largely where her focus is at. I think although they're divided by distance and time, I think in terms of their goal and mental sort of synergy, they are very much together. And so obviously she misses him, but I think her main focus is just being terrified for the safety of her child. And I actually think that the hardest part of it for Brianna is having to be in the back seat. I think usually she's the first person to jump in and take destiny into her own hands, and she'd be the first to get her hands dirty and fight for her child and go find her child. And I actually think the hardest thing for her this season is taking that mama bear motivation and having to stay home and sit back and just wait. And that's for the sake of her other child, Mandy, to be there for her. And so I think she's dealing with it by just trusting her husband, I think, and by having faith that they'll be back together and that they'll find Jemmy.